It's winter in the Bering Sea. The temperature is well below freezing. The Alaskan Monarch, with 100,000 pounds of fresh crab in its hold, has lost power and is foundering in shallow, icy water.
Initially, it was a salvage call. Fairly routine, no big deal. The hardest part about it is St. Paul Island is about 500 miles away from Kodiak. We had to refuel at one point, because that's about 300 to 400 mile open ocean transit. 30 minutes out from St. Paul, we started picking up radio transmissions.
We're not grounded yet. This is the chief engineer. We have not grounded yet, but we are real close.
One of the Coast Guard cutters was en route to try and help the vessel.
We got the call at night and we arrived afternoon the next day. As we approached the scene, we established communications with Alaskan Monarch. He said that he'd been stable in terms of position through most of the night, but then they were beginning to move toward the beach. They were beset in the ice. The ice was so thick he couldn't make any way, and the ice also damaged his propulsion systems. Our plan was to save the people by saving the boat, and that would have meant getting a tow line onto the boat and towing him out of the ice. We knew that a helicopter had been dispatched. We didn't know whether or not the helicopter would be able to get to the scene.
Alaskan Monarch, Storis, Roger. Get somebody out after your pilot house here. We're going to shoot you a line here.
We're starting to feel, okay, things are working out fine. The ship's on scene. They're trying to get a line across. They'll get them out of the ice, and by the time we get there, everything will be under control and just be a long flight.
Can your crew back there see the line? It's on the ice, off your port quarter. Alaskan Monarch, had that guy take cover. We're going to reload and fire it at you again. Yeah, copy that.
The fact that he was in such shallow water was the limiting factor in our ability to get close to pass a line.
We heard the ship captain tell the Coast Guard cutter they were going to go on the rocks, so they were going to put their survival suits on.
You feel like you're on the rocks yet? On the rocks, we're running our survival suits. Roger, helicopter be here in about 5 minutes.
As soon as they said they were putting their survival suits on, that was the first inclination we had that this was not just a routine salvage, but this could be a rescue.
As the Monarch continues to be battered by the huge icy waves, a crewman tries to recover a survival suit that has fallen to the deck. In the process, he narrowly escapes being washed overboard.
We're firing again.
We heard the several attempts to get a line across, including that final one where they got the line across.
Made a good shot.
But the messenger line parted, so we knew that things were not going well.
Ultimately, when the helo arrived on scene, because the boat was in such a precarious position, and because we, at that point, hadn't been able to get a tow line across, we decided to take the people off.
First thing we did is we started talking to the Alaskan Monarch. At that point, he said he had one man that he wanted to get off immediately because this man's survival suit had been washed overboard.
The Gumby suit outside.
This is Alaskan Monarch. We had one suit washed overboard, so we're going to have one fellow that doesn't have a survival suit. He's for different person, over.
Without a survival suit up there at that time of year, he had no chance of survival in case they should go in.
Yeah, we just grounded. Okay, copy that. Also, we're going to be putting down a basket. Request you wait till the basket hits the deck before you grab the hold of it.
We came around, we set ourselves up for the hoist. We'll try to find a place where we can hoist your one man up, assuming the other 5 were going to stay on board and try to get the ship off the rocks. We saw 4 people walk out from the pilot house across the mid-deck up to the bow and kind of forced her hand into saying, well, okay, we're going to pick up 4 people, not the one we thought. It's a little tricky because the ship measured something like 30-foot waves at that point. Again, we're talking to the captain of the Monarch. He wanted to give another try to get another tow line across and try to get the ship off the rocks. As soon as we moved off, he called and said, the ship is on the rocks, we're breaking up, we need to be hoisted out. The captain, and as it turned out the chief engineer, walked from the pilot house. The captain slipped and fell on his hands and knees. The engineer stopped to help him, and then this wave just crashed over him.
They were really swept off the boat. Our hearts sank at that point. We thought, oh no. We were concerned that they might be seriously hurt or killed.
We saw quite clearly from where we were is the bow of the vessel was gashed open. So our fear was not just the fact they were getting hit by this ice and could easily have been incapacitated just for being washed overboard, but we were also looking at the possibility of them getting sucked back into the vessel. We weren't certain what condition these guys were going to be in. Were they conscious? Were they unconscious? Were they hurt? Could they get into the basket themselves? Not wanting to risk my swimmer, I decided that, well, we'll try picking him up first. And we put the basket down. As you can see, that's probably the fastest I've ever seen anybody get inside that basket. And we pulled him up. And then we dropped the basket down again. This time it was to the captain. And although I could not see this, my crewman told me that he had a block of ice sitting on top of his chest, and he could not get into the basket. And I was able to move the aircraft just enough to pull him out from underneath that block of ice, and then he was able to get into the basket. Once we got him up into the aircraft, they were both hypothermic. We left immediately for the clinic on St. Paul. Several months later, we flew into, I believe it was Bethel, to get some fuel. We landed, we were in front of the flight service station, and this big guy, must have been about 6'4", 6'5", comes walking out and says, "Excuse me, ma'am, but were you the one on the Alaskan Monarch rescue?" I said, "Yes, I was." And he stuck his hand out and started crying. He said, "That was my son's life you saved."